But first, it's our Instagram story poll results. An offense wins.
James, they don't like what we had to say, did they? When the schedule came out back in August, all right, this could be a pretty good runway for them. And it's going to get easier, too. I mean, it's a lot of winnable games over these next 2 weeks.
Something was going off in the back. At the end of a close game, what should be the go-to philosophy for the Lakers?
You got to lock down. You got to rebound first and then lock them up.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Hit some threes, too. They could do a little bit better than that category. A little bit low right now.
Where's AD? Where's AD? All right, we got another one. Is strength of schedule a factor in the Lakers tend to start?
For sure. We knew when the schedule came out back in August, all right, this could be a pretty good runway for them. And it's going to get easier, too. I mean, it's a lot of winnable games over these next 2 weeks.
You have to look at the schedule and know the teams that you're supposed to beat and beat them, especially at home.
They've done a good job of that.
Yep.
For sure.
Can you give me what your best poster would be? We've seen big games.
Ducky on you?
No.
Where are you going? What happened? I thought you wanted a poster. No? All right.
3, 2, 1. The Lakers are the world champions. And the runner to Wilt. He puts it up and slams. Jerry West made it from the other side of the midcourt stripe.
Boy, was that a sensational pass by Magic.
On a hook shot at 12. Good! Worthy guys on his belly. Magic scores. Magic right side to Worthy. Slams up. The range swing left. Right hand 12-footer. Good!
Slam dunk to put the champagne away. 3 straight NBA championships. The Lakers repeat back-to-back titles.
Our goal is to
3, 2, 1. The Lakers are the world champions. And the runner to Wilt. He puts it up and slams. Jerry West made it from the other side of the midcourt stripe.
Boy, was that a sensational pass by Magic.
On a hook shot at 12. Good! Worthy guys on his belly. Magic scores. Magic right side to Worthy. Slams up. The range swing left. Right hand 12-footer. Good!
Slam dunk to put the champagne away. 3 straight NBA championships. The Lakers repeat back-to-back titles.
our goal is to win every night, and that's what it's all about.
Here comes LBJ! Barnes going to the basket, blocked by Davis. Lakers win it on the block by AD.
Left, right hand, 12-footer, good!
Slam dunk to put the champagne away. 3 straight NBA championships. The Lakers repeat back-to-back titles.
Our goal is to win every night, and that's what it's all about.
Here comes LBJ! Barnes going to the basket, blocked by Davis. Lakers win it on the block by AD.
It's Sunday at Staples, and Anthony Davis has arrived for a showdown with Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. LeBron James also making his entrance. He finished with 29 points and 11 assists in Friday's win over the Kings, and he continues to lead the league in assists. And while LBJ knows how to make an arrival, Jared Dudley is still working on his game. Dudley bringing it back for the picture perfect moment. Lakers host the Atlanta Hawks at 6:30. We'll have it for you on Spectrum Sportsnet. Less than 24 hours ago, the Hawks lost on this floor by 49 points. The worst loss in their franchise history. Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. I'm Chris McGee. He is in the Hall of Fame. His name is Big Game James Woodley. He has 5 rings. His name is Derek Fisher. We do have a young man named Michael Bresnahan and Allie Clifton. They will be joining us later in the show. And Friday was fun. Friday, the Lakers won their 3rd in a row and their 10th in 11 games, and it came down to the wire. Anthony Davis blocked Harrison Barnes, who tripped in the final seconds. Lakers held on to beat the Kings 99-97. Davis, who only scored 17 points, made his mark on the defensive end. A game-high 4 blocks. That's going right on his application for Defensive Player of the Year. And that was AD's 4th game this season with 4 or more blocks. That leads the NBA. Since he entered the league, Davis is number 1 with 116 games with 4+ blocks. 21 more than Serge Ibaka, who's 2nd. AD's teammate Dwight Howard is 7th on this list with 56 games with 4 or more rejections. It's easy to take a great defender for granted, guys. How vital has he been to this team being the number 1 defense in the league?
I think he's been everything as far as, you know, him stating that he wanted to be the Defensive Player of the Year. what he brings to the table as a shot blocker and a big that can also switch out on players that are smaller than he, coming from the weak side. Psychologically, he's there even if you don't see him. So yeah, I think he's been a major part of their defensive strategy and their enhancement on that end of the court.
Yeah, no, he's definitely, like James said, at the top of the list of reasons why this Lakers team is at the top defensively so far. Protecting the rim is the number one priority when you're on defense. Yeah. Keeping, teams outside of the paint. That's what he does with his presence. I think the reason why you can maybe take him for granted defensively is because of how great he is offensively. Yeah. Typically, when you have a great big that's a shot blocker defender, not so well-rounded offensively. All he can do is maybe catch alley-oops, dunk, etc. This guy has an all-around game.
He's leading the team in scoring.
Yeah, sometimes you lose sight of how great he is defensively because of how wonderful he plays offense.
He came into the season saying, I want to win Defensive Player of the Year. I'm going to hold my guys accountable, including LeBron James. I think that's a big part of it, James. Do you think, and listen, narratives are started early in the season. Do you think he's a front runner right now? I know it's early for Defensive Player of the Year, in your opinion.
I think so. I mean, given the fact that the team is also number one, and, I think he's averaging, he has almost something like 4 blocks. There's some type of stat that he has where he's averaging like 4 blocks. But, yeah, he's in the running right now. I'd have to say he's up there in the top 5 candidates. No question.
And I agree. I think he should for sure be in the running. Perception is reality at times. And when you are a part of the best defensive team in the league, a team that has high visibility, nationally televised games, there's going to be a lot of discussion around it, leading the league in shot blocking, etc. He for sure should be in the running at this point in the season.
Now, you probably remember last year when the Hawks visited Staples Center, Trae Young drove for the game winner, but was blocked by Tyson Chandler as the clock hit 0. That preserved the Lakers' 107-106 victory as he got it right at its apex. That was a great block big game.
Yeah, it was. And Young is a player that gets in that paint quickly, and he has a nice floater that is hard to get to. Yeah. So the timing on that shot, it was perfect. And, it was a great block that saved the game.
So will Trae Young get some payback tonight against the purple and gold? Let's get the latest and a live report from Staples Center. Lakers reporter Mike Trudell on a Sunday. Michael.
Hi, guys. What's happening? So this Atlanta Hawks team had a really rough night in this building last night, and you're always watching those games thinking, okay, how is this going to impact the Lakers? On the one hand, they're going to be angry. On the other hand, maybe they won't have the same level of legs. So I wanted to put that to Frank Vogel to see if the way that the schedule ends up in this sense probably favoring the Lakers, if that impacts the way that they look at the game at all. So here's how Frank Vogel described that a couple moments ago. Frank, sometimes the NBA schedule favors you and sometimes it doesn't. In this case, you had a day off yesterday. Atlanta had to play here. Does that make an impact in the way that you approach a game at all, or is it the same as usual?
It really doesn't. Whether a team played the night before or not, we do our work. We prepare. Sundays we've been, we may have a shoot around in the morning. Typically we'll come down here and have an afternoon walkthrough, and that was the case for today. But, whether a team played the night before doesn't really impact anything for us.
What's the key with Trae Young? What have you seen from him this season?
He's a monster. He can beat you in a number of ways. He has the 4-point range off the bounce, which makes makes him one of the toughest guys in the NBA to defend. And what makes it tough is when you try to double team him, he has the ability to beat the double team. And still get into the paint, whether it's turning the corner or splitting or rejecting or, the various ways you can beat a trap. He has that ability because of his speed. And, when you add on 9 assists a game, he's sharing it as well and getting his teammates involved. So it doesn't matter what their record is. It doesn't matter, what happened last night. This team came in and beat Denver a couple games ago, and we're going to have to be at our best to beat them.
Wondering what you thought of the rotation with Avery out, and if you're going to plan on going the same way tonight.
Yeah, we'll start KCP again. I think he deserves the chance after the performance, the two-way performance the other night. He always brings consistent defensive energy, and obviously gave us some scoring punch the other night. So he'll be in the starting lineup again.
Geeter, so this is one of those games where it's not ideal for the Lakers not to have Avery Bradley, just in the case that Trae Young is such a tough cover. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope will get that first shot. Expect to see some Alex Caruso on him as well. And look, he's probably not going to go 4 for 16, which is what he shot last night, including 2 for 7 from the field. So that might be the whole key for the game for the Lakers, is how they can contain Trae Young on that perimeter.
Yeah, Mike, he is a lot of fun to watch, and he will be ready to take on the Lakers. Alex Caruso with that great third quarter, KCP with a great fourth. Thank you so much, Mike. Lakers and Hawks are coming up at 6:30 here on Spectrum Sports as we take a look at Kyle Kuzma getting warmed up at Staples. Kuz averaging 18 points and shooting 46% from deep. That's in his last 4 games. And later on, access so many great plays from the purple and gold this week. I think we have a good idea which play is going to be number 1. Stick around, stick it.
Access Sportsnet Lakers is brought to you in part by Wingstop, the official wings of the Los Angeles Lakers. Get exclusive Wingstop offers and score tickets on the Lakers app.
They'll wrap it up Tuesday against the Thunder. That's part of a home-and-home with OKC. Friday, the Lakers open a 4-game trip at the Thunder. Saturday, they'll be in Memphis. All of these games will be here on Spectrum Sportsnet. Let's check in with Allie and Brandon.
But that said, it's time for Brez's three-point play. 3 things that you are looking forward to in this game, and we start with KCP. Can he sustain what we saw, especially late, against the Kings on Friday?
Yeah, easily his best game of the season, all right? 16 points, made 3 threes. Brought to mind what he did at the end of last season. Had a really nice finish over that final 4 weeks, averaging about 18 points a game. He will not average that this season. There's just too much depth and talent on this team. But what he can do is exactly what he did the other night. Step up in a spot start. Avery Bradley out with that broken bone in his lower leg. And KCP did some really good things on the court the other night. And also, opportunity to kind of continue it tonight. Atlanta not a very good defensive backcourt, so maybe he can do a little damage as well on the offense again tonight. We'll have to see, though.
When it comes to the Lakers' opponent tonight, the Atlanta Hawks, despite Vince Carter playing in his 22nd season and not playing tonight, what's up with the Hawks?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I mean, they're sitting at 4-8. Trae Young, fun, young, explosive player. But no John Collins. He's out for 25 games with a PED suspension. That's a no-no. Kind of the opposite of the Lakers. All right, the Lakers number 1 defensively. Atlanta number 25 in defensive rating. Also, Atlanta having a lot of trouble with the ball. They are 29th in turnovers per game. That is not a good stat if you want to be a Hawks fan. As Mike Trudell covered, tough time for them at Staples Center last night. They allowed 150 points to the Clippers, including 43 in the first quarter. The Lakers have had some slow starts so far this month. In fact, they've trailed in half of their games after the first quarter in the month of November. So maybe tonight is a night where they can kind of get out ahead a little bit.
Your third and final point. LeBron has made it very clear he feels good. He looks good playing out there. Of course, that dunk we've talked a lot about. But you're keeping an eye on his minutes.
Yeah, interesting stuff here. Last game he played 39. A couple games before that he played 37. That's a little high. I think the standard should be you should play fewer minutes than your age. He'll be 35 next month, as we've covered a couple times on these shows already. I think that the best thing for him would be what happened in the game against Golden State the other night. He played only 26 minutes, a big rout for the Lakers. Didn't even need him towards the end of that game. And maybe there will be a little reduction in store with Rondo kind of starting to round into shape a little bit. He missed several games because of that calf injury. This is not a knock on LeBron's game. He has been fantastic so far this season. But if you could lower the minutes just a little bit, kind of keep him fresher as the games get even more meaningful.
Of course, you want it to go deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to pay attention now. Well done, as always. Tonight after our post-game coverage, it's the premiere of the latest episode of Road Trippin'. Our special guest, the one and only Steve Nash. Now, among the many things we discussed, the resurgence of his former Lakers teammate, Dwight Howard.
I'm not going to say I'm shocked, but I'm surprised.
I'm shocked.
You know, like he's just had such an up and down physical kind of road the last, many years since his back surgery. Like, you almost think like maybe he just can't do it anymore, and like he looks great. He's physically, he's almost a different build now.
Yeah, but there's no pressure on him. He comes in like Anthony Davis is the man. LeBron gets everybody going. Danny Green shoots the next shots. All he has to do is like just rebound, and he's the hero. He does literally the minimum, and he's like
he's not even starting.
Yeah, and like anything except for suck. and everyone's like, Dwight's doing great.
There's some truth to that, but also, like, if he moves well, that guy can really defend the basket.
Oh yeah.
Like, when he's locked in and wants to.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think, you know, when he wasn't physically at his best, and he's like, I also want to prove I'm a 20-game post player.
Yeah.
You got all these other things he's trying to accomplish. It took away a little bit from him just being like, I'm shutting down this area of the court, which he can do like very few people I've ever seen.
Road Trippin' with Steve Nash. It premieres tonight after our postgame show. We also talk about the Nash rule, the number of handshakes he would average per game, and, of course, bloopers with Channing. That's Road Trippin' tonight after our postgame coverage. Straight ahead on Access Sportsnet, Lakers ice Trey, and the Hawks are in town. Can the Lakers cool off Atlanta's hot shot point guard?
No, they're good for you. They make you strong and stuff. Milk don't make you strong. Mashed potatoes do.
Last night, Dwight Howard, Quinn Cook, and Jared Dudley served Thanksgiving dinner to over 250 guests in downtown L.A. It was the first of several events in this year's A Season of Giving series. The Lakers have helped thousands of kids and adults with this program since 2000. The Lakers make this program a priority every single year.
It's bigger than basketball. We understand, you know, our platform, and, you know, we all just want to give back as much as possible. So anything like this, guys, you know, go out their way, just try to give back as much as possible.
It's crazy that some people just don't have a place to go to eat Thanksgiving. That's how it is. I mean, I grew up in a single-parent household, and my mom did the best she can, but some people don't have that. And so for the Lakers, and obviously them coming together with sponsorship to be able to do stuff like this, I mean, this event is more than just obviously food. As you see Dwight Howard talking and the games and fun, so it's something I wanted to be a part of, and usually I try to do that.
We're just very grateful to have the position that we have to be able to play basketball at the highest level, but also be able to give back to our community. So this is amazing.
The Lakers host Trae Young and the Hawks tonight. The second-year guard has upped his game this season. He's 8th in the NBA in scoring, over 7 points better than a year ago. Trae is also 3rd in assists at nearly 9 per game. So time for a little Access 360 brought to you by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Good times indeed. And Fish, Trae Young, so fun to watch. I think that's why a lot of people get a league pass to watch some of these young superstars in the game. He shoots from the logo. He's got handles. But it's really his playmaking, his ability to get others involved on that team. He's got a young team. He gets those guys easy shots. It's his passing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely his playmaking, using his speed, his craftiness. And as a young guard, the game starts to slow down each year that you're in the league. And I'm old.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're going for
the game is really slow for me.
Man, you had me, and the whole time I was like, he's staying.
But I don't move as quick as Trae, but I got to the wall fairly quickly. And as we'll take a look here at this Access 360, just Trae using his eyes. He's not going as fast as he can possibly run, but here gets to a spot. Last year, he may have tried to stop and pick the ball up. Surrounded by 3 guys, feels that if he picks it up, he's going to be trapped. So he keeps his dribble, continues to explore along the baseline, a la Steve Nash in Phoenix, makes the drop off to his teammate here again, seeking the middle, using his eyes to set the defense up like a quarterback in football, freezing linebackers and safeties. Again, finding his teammate on the baseline for a finish. And then here, Torrey Craig, big guard for Denver, not close enough, rejects the screen, gets to the middle. But because he's small, he doesn't finish as well at the rim. So his eyes are always floating, looking for cutters. Jabari Parker with the nice cut and the finish there. And then now here, Geets, I didn't have this in my game. A little bit of a nutmeg there on Will Barton.
That is sick.
And you could tell that this is something he's starting to see in people that are defending him. As they're getting down into their defensive stance, he sees the legs open, pushes through, gets to the baseline, and then, the nice giant killer and one on Aaron Baines. Oh, oops, right through the legs there. Trae Young with the floater. And again, those are things that probably were there for him last year that he didn't see as well.
Yeah.
And now as the game starts to slow down, you know, he's starting to pick his spots, making plays for others, and then still averaging 26, 27 a game himself.
Yeah. Does he remind you of anybody? Does he have a little Nash in him just because he has the ball so much?
A little bit of Nash.
Steph a little bit?
A little bit of Steph because of his ability to score at such a high clip. It's almost like Tiny Archibald, you know, in terms of being able to really score and get anywhere on the court.
With that size,
but his
too.
playmaking, though, is really impressive for a young guard.
Yeah. The kids can Google Tiny.
Yeah. You brought him up many times.
I used to be guilty of bringing up these old guys.
No way, man. Google is your friend. Yeah, Frank Vogel said they have like a 4-point line out there on their practice court because you got to defend guys like this. I mean, guys shoot now from Luka, Trey. These guys are shooting from deeper and deeper. Let's go inside access. Big game. I want to show you this. Ice Trey. The assists are almost one up from a year ago, but the big jump percentage of assists in the paint. It was 56% of his dimes last year as a rookie. This season, it's an NBA best 73%. Big game. On the strength of that stat, he's pushing Atlanta to be one of the best teams in the paint. Third in the league, just behind the Lakers. Pretty impressive stat.
And Fish already answered, to this because he's, last year he was Speedy McGreedy. He slowed down. He's being coached and how to not only get offense for himself, but as you can see, he's really upped the ante as far as enhancing his teammates' shots at a high percentage. So that's what I love to see, the talent and the will to learn how to play the game. It can last a long time. And it makes him better, it makes the team better, and everyone likes playing with someone like him.
Yeah, and when you saw Oklahoma, you thought, oh, my God, this guy's a shooter. He's the new kind of point guard. But I think the assists and his willingness and his vision kind of what surprised everybody.
Yeah, I think, and that's from, a little bit of disappointment and frustration at times during the season last year.
Remember, he started out slow.
Had some injuries.
Yep.
I think he came in thinking about scoring. And what you have to realize, they gave the keys to this young man in Atlanta. And that comes with responsibility. It's not only about you getting your numbers and you looking good.
Yeah.
But you need, as a leader, if there's nobody following you, you're not leading.
Yeah.
So I think that Trae Young is learning how to be a leader by including his teammates, making them better, which now energizes everybody, and he's become a really good young player. Might make the All-Star team this year, Geeks, like we talked about earlier.
About a commercial break. I think he will. Lakers and Hawks are about 30 minutes away from tip-off. Danny Green getting some pregame shots up at Staples. The Green Ranger leads the Lakers in three-point shooting, knocking down 41% of his shots from distance. And next on Access, LeBron James got Staples and NBA Twitter buzzing with his early submission for Dunk of the Year. How is year 17? Braun, the same and different from his younger self.
Access Sportsnet Lakers is brought to you in part by Carl's Jr.
He was the only Lakers to score 20 in that game. No one should be that surprised that he's back at this elite level now that he's healthy.
He used to go for a reason, That's just who he is. He's a competitor at heart, and at the end of the day, he wants to win. And his instincts take over in games like this where maybe the team's struggling or we're not making shots like we usually are. So anytime he makes a couple baskets in a row, you can kind of see it's just his competitive juice is starting to flow, and does a good job of picking the team up, and we follow that usually.
The way I trained, getting my growing back to 100%, and like I said, it's the first time I ever tore something, and dealing with that injury last year after, coming back, was still partially torn, and just could never get back to myself, as we tried to make a push at the playoffs. So, having that long stretch off, it allowed me to, get my growing back to 100%, and then just train a lot. Even when I was shooting a movie, I trained every single morning. Getting my legs back, getting my quick twitch back, getting my quickness back, and my explosiveness, and putting myself in a position where I knew that if I needed to play, a lot of minutes, I've trained enough and I've prepared myself to be able to do that.
So a different script versus the Kings guys. LeBron had to kind of lead the way with his scoring and his offense. And it hasn't happened too much this season, but those couple times it has, LeBron can recognize it, James, and he just takes over.
That's what the great ones do. I played with, Magic Johnson, and toward the mid to the end of his career, he was that type of player. When he started to score more, he could get the assist. On nights, he'd go down in the block and post people up and score. So LeBron is, that type of player, knowing that he has around him other great players, AD, other players that he has to get involved. But when he has to get it done, he recognizes the matchups that he has, and he's able to take advantage of them at will, it seems like.
And it's kind of like artificial intelligence, right? Like when as things are playing out, it's learning the algorithms and the programs of what it needs to do, and then it starts to give you answers and suggestions before you need them. And every game, the first 6, 7, 8 games, LeBron is programming himself and figuring out, for this version of the Lakers, I got AD out here. Danny Green, where does he like his passes? Where do I need to throw him the ball? When can I be aggressive? And as he started to figure that out, he steps on the gas when he needs to, backs off when he needs to, and it's all designed to make sure the Lakers win, and that's a big reason why they're 10-2.
I like that analogy. I want you to see these numbers, Allie. LeBron's numbers this season in minutes, points, and shots are a little lower, but still consistent with where he's been in recent years. But the assists and his assist-to-turnover ratio are both career best. How different does he look game to game to when he was in Cleveland?
The difference, I would say, is when he was in Cleveland, from the jump, he was always starting alongside a true point guard. So he had Kyrie Irving for 3 years, it then turned into Derrick Rose, and then George Hill at the trade deadline. So he was never the dominant primary ball handler from the tip. And here you put him in a position where he's next to, more so than not, a defensive specialist in Avery Bradley. And kind of as Fish, you pointed out Friday night, his assist-to-turnover ratio has been pretty darn good. And a lot of that is because as a superstar, this is where they kind of hone in on their craft, and they become obsessed with it in a healthy way. And LeBron James, when he has those turnover numbers up, it's one of the biggest things that he will point out right away that he wasn't happy with, he wasn't pleased with, and he understands how much he has to value that basketball.
He talked a lot about that last year. Mm-hmm. He would.
And I think this works well. Like when your best player has the ball in his hands, it helps everybody. You know, playing next to Kobe wasn't a traditional point guard, but with the size and the length, the ability to see over the defense, the threat offensively that anytime he attacks the paint, multiple defenders are going to collapse the lane. It makes it easier for his teammates around him. And with this version of the Lakers this year compared to last year, I think there are more play finishers around LeBron that are also allowing him to make the plays he's making and having the assist numbers.
And what's intriguing, I think so about this as well, is he's leading the league this early in the season with assists. But with a guy like this, I think he can only sustain it and make it go up, and those numbers look even more special. When he talked about in San Antonio, when he's only going to get better, the more he learns this role in this position, that's just good for the entire roster.
All right, we're getting closer to tip-off at Staples Center. Lakers are 10-2, sitting at the top of the Western Conference, and big man JaVale McGee has been a constant for them. He started every game for the Purple and Gold so far this season. And next, on Access, KCP enjoyed his best game for the young season again.
Shooting, 12 of those points came in the fourth quarter. Before Friday, KCP was averaging 5 points per game on just 36% from the field in the first 11 games. Now, KCP has been booed at home and criticized on social media. Wednesday, after a fan on Instagram wrote, "Trade KCP," Dwight Howard came to his defense. He wrote, "Y'all need to kill the KCP noise. He is a Laker, and we don't do that. Let's uplift each other. Come on, bro. We all a family." After Friday's win, Geeter asked Dwight about his post.
A lot has kind of been made. You know, LeBron mentioned it, KCP, just how you were sticking up for him. Social media, you've been in this league a long time.
KCP?
What kind of, why did you feel the need, to kind of...
Because we're a family, man. We're a family. You don't let nobody talk about your family. In Laker Nation, we all a family. So we don't talk about our own people. We lift each other up. That's it. I don't like negativity. I don't like negative people. We on this positive vibes, man. We got to keep it going. Can't talk about nobody. KCP came out and played great tonight. I'm happy for him.
You must have loved that fourth quarter then. 12 points, and they were timely.
I was like, man, I can't wait to Instagram a picture of KCP tonight.
So it's coming.
And put bam.
And bam, Dwight did post a picture of KCP with the caption, "Keep flying, KCP. We all believe in you. Great game, my G." Now, if that wasn't enough, go check out Dwight's post again, because you'll see that just about every guy on the roster weighed in with positive support and encouragement for the Lakers shooting guard. Now, how has all of this made KCP feel, and can he sustain Friday night's great performance? Let's find out. KCP, he's standing by with Mike Trudell.
All right, guys, thanks so much, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, kind enough to join us. Kenny, I got to start you with Dwight Howard's Instagram post. "Keep flying at Caldwell-Pope. We all believe in you. Great game, my G." Then almost all of your teammates went on to respond to that, and you got some of that same praise in the locker room. So it just has to feel good, right, to have that kind of support from the crew?
Yeah, it does feel good, knowing that these guys got my back. through ups and downs. And for them to stick out for me like that, man, it means a lot to me. I really appreciate it.
And Kenny, you said that regardless of if the shots are going down, where you've prided yourself this season has been on the defensive side of the floor. That's been the true for the team as well. Still number one in defense. What are the things you focus on the defensive side of the court?
Just trying to contain my man, keep him in front of me, just not allowing him to get by me as easy, knowing that I got second line defense back there to help me. But try to stay in front of him as much as possible. Get in the passing lane when I can, or on a good read. Also try to rebound.
Growing up in Georgia, did you used to look at the Hawks and think about that team, or did you have other teams around the league you followed?
Growing up in Georgia, I followed the Hawks back in their days. But I had other teams I looked up to as well. It's a hometown team.
In this case, Trae Young for this Hawks team, pretty difficult matchup, right? He's one of those guys that Vogel says goes at the 4-point range. I'm sure you're going to spend some time on him, KCP. What is the key with Trae Young?
Just containing him. He's kind of like, he can shoot, like Coach said, from the 4-point range. And, he can do other things besides shoot the ball as well. So, we just got to try to contain him as much as possible. And just try to get somebody else to beat us.
Last thing for you then, your offensive flow, how does that come when you're on the court with LeBron and AD? How unique is that situation?
It's very unique. One thing I have noticed, just be ready to shoot the ball when they're on the floor together, or even just one is on the floor. Just be ready to shoot, be ready to make plays once they give the ball up, because it's going to be open.
Appreciate it, Kenny.
Thank you.
All right, guys, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope coming off that impressive fourth quarter performance last game. Let's go back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Mike. Time now to go a little four corners. Let's talk about being a good teammate. Why is it so important to have good teammates on a team that's trying to make a run in a championship-type team, guys that get each other's back?
It's kind of like a car, Geeter.
Mm-hmm.
You got an engine, you got to have a good battery, you got to have a good, spark plug. Everything has to be working together in order for the team to work. You're going to have issues sometimes, but you have to monitor each other. You don't want one guy in a bad mood. You want to uplift him. You're not going to have great days every day. I've been in 3 or 4 game slumps, and it's always been my teammates that encourage you. So it's important to have that kind of synergy and that kind of communication on the team, because everyone's not going to be great all season long. Everyone needs a little lift every now and then.
And these guys are, I think, dealing with, different aspects of criticism from fans and or media.
I was going to ask you guys
than James did, or than I did when I played. It's in a different environment, right? Much larger scale, global criticism, if you will, as opposed to maybe local or just in the arena. And so it's easy for us to say the guys should tune it out. We were good at tuning out external noise outside of our locker room, etc. But with social media and the way things have changed, it's hard to tell these guys to tune it out. And I think it puts even more importance and value on teammates really having each other's back the way these guys are showing.
How do you block it out? You mentioned how different it is today. Big game James, it's in their palm, literally, right after a game. Trade this bum. You're trash. Memes of you, every mistake you make,
during the game,
whatever it is.
At halftime, you might see a tweet or something. Well, I don't think unless you have a very strong mind, just not to look at it or listen to it, don't pay any attention. But unless you're able to do that, you can't. You can't block it out. So that makes you have to have another strength to see it, accept it, move on, and try to get better. So you either got to have a strong mind over matter, or you can't look at it, in my opinion.
And it depends on who you are. Some guys can hear it, look at it, use it as motivation or fuel.
Did you notice it when you were coaching with the younger generation?
Yes, in terms of the way players handled criticism, how important it is. A lot of players, right before the game, sometimes at halftime, and especially immediately after the game, it's the first thing they're looking at. The first thing they're looking at before the stat sheet is what was said on social media, et cetera. And so it's an important tool, and it is something to me that you have to manage along with other dynamics on teams now. There has to be active and intentional discussion about social media. When maybe it's better for you, depending on who you are, take the app off your phone. Have one of your boys look at it and manage it for you.
Yeah.
You know, have your significant other be the one that's looking at it and checking it every day. You only go to it when you really need to in order to make sure that you don't allow that to get you disrupted.
Just get a burner account.
It's that easy, right? You have to know that, of all the teams in the league, you might have, Clipper fans coming at you for no reason at all, just to make it even more negative. So you really just got to not pick it up.
Okay, you have social media, a lot of criticisms there from people you don't even know. And more than ever, I feel like beat writers covering an individual team are more competitive than ever and trying to get the story first and sometimes not being as accurate sometimes. And guys, it's a beat writer's job to go around player to player and say, hey, this guy's in a slump. Can he get out of it? And sometimes players get irritated by that. Dwight was sticking up pretty heavily for KCP the other day. Has it gone too far with the writers trying to get into the locker room to get the story and try to get players to teammates to maybe dish dirt on each other?
It's a trick question for me. I don't know if it's gone too far. I mean, I think it's easy for us to say sitting here in 2019 that something that was different in 1999 has gone too far. But that we would say everything in life has gone too far compared to what it used to be. It's a vastly different world. I do think outside of sports and basketball, on earth, we've gone too far in our judgment and criticism of other people, period. And for whatever reason, people feel comfortable criticizing and judging a person for doing something that they themselves are not even capable of doing. So how is it that you're questioning what KCP can do? You've never played an NBA game before. You don't know how hard it is to make shots or to guard some of the best players in the NBA.
You've seen Peter make a layup at Mike Brown's house.
So what is it that you're judging and or criticizing? Do people, can I pop on and criticize a chef for not being world-renowned at cooking?
Man, that spaghetti sauce is whack.
I'm not a chef.
Even the show host gets criticized after losses.
It's just the reality of the world we live in. And it goes back again, though, to the importance of not relying on the opinion of others for you to feel validated in who you are.
Truth.
Ride with you, believe in yourself.
That's it, right,
100%.
James?
As far as, I always say, look, I played basketball and you are a judge. You know what I mean? And I always say, look, I'm pretty sure that we could become a judge if we wanted to, and there are athletes that have proven that they can go on and be mayors and other things. But I doubt that a judge could come and make it through one practice. I doubt that. So it's how you handle the question too. Things are going too far, but it's how you handle the question. If you come up to me and say, "Hey, Derek Fisher's playing very poor," I'm going to say to you, "No, go talk to Derek." So it's how you handle it.
Probably the best way to handle it.
Good times right there. Tip-off minutes away. Kyle Kuzma scored 13 points. He went 3 for 7 from deep in Friday's win over the Kings. Take Your Shot is next.
Access Sportsnet Lakers is brought to you by your Southern California.
The Lakers have won 10 of their last 11 games. The latest coming Friday as Anthony Davis saved the day with a block of Harrison Barnes in the final seconds. Davis leads the league in blocked shots at 3 per game. With 7 per game as a team, the Lakers are first in blocks as well as point differential, outscoring opponents by 9 points per game. Bad news for the Hawks, who rank in the bottom 10 in scoring at 107 per. The Lakers have owned the Hawks at home through the years. Since the 74-75 season, the Lakers own a 40-9 record against them. That's a winning percentage of 82%. They've only beaten the Kings more often. The Hawks had a chance to win here last year, but Trae Young's game-winning floater was blocked by Tyson Chandler to seal the victory. Could this be Groundhog Day for the Hawks? They were run out of staples last night, 150-101 by the Clippers. The 49-point defeat, the worst in Atlanta history. The Hawks have allowed at least 120 points in 5 straight games. Opponents score an average of 115 points per game, which is 7th worst in the league. It doesn't help that they're 29th in turnovers, nearly 18 per game. Ooh. All right, let's count them down. Lakers' top 10 plays of the week. I think we all know what number 1 is going to be, but let's check it out anyways. Number 10. Tuesday against the Suns. Big game. Anthony Davis blocks Kelly Oubre's shot. Lakers on the run the other way. LeBron, he's spinning, and he's winning, and he's dropping it in.
Yeah, AD's almost like a safety back there. He's surveying everything, coming from about 4 feet across the court lane to block that, and then LeBron with the finish.
Number 9, Wednesday against the Warriors, Fish. JaVale McGee comes up with a loose ball. He sees LeBron going backdoor, and then the hammer.
Nice for the big fella. Eyes catching LeBron on the cut. Nice bounce pass, and he's loving it.
I'm predicting Alex Caruso, here's number 8, will be on the top 10 highlights with a dunk every single week this year, Brett.
What's not to love? Social media darling. I'll be honest, 2 years ago when we first started talking about him on our shows, I called him David Caruso, but now we know exactly who he is. He is Alex Caruso. I felt bad.
Number 7, last Sunday against the Raptors, Quinn Cook drives, circus shot, left hand, top of the backboard, just like he drew it up and in.
Yeah, that's a tough shot right there from a guard that's undersized, going in there amongst the trees and having the ability to float it off the top of the backboard. I'll give him credit for that. 2
different plays here, Fish. We'll show you the first one. LeBron with some sick passing. Behind the back pass to Jared Dudley. He's knocking down a 3. You get a replay of that.
LeBron behind the back, on time, on target. Jared Dudley sticking the follow-through, knocks down the 3.
And then this one, behind the legs, Kuz. Between the legs, excuse me.
Nutmeg himself, huh?
Yeah, right there. You don't see that very often.
Dropping it off to Kuz.
This day and age.
Kuz starting to knock down the 3, guys. Look out.
Number 5, Brez. AD's just lulling Dario Saric to sleep on the wing.
Saric,
and then he's going to go right past him.
Yeah.
And he's going to throw it down.
Yeah, he's not going to win any defensive awards, Dario Saric. AD might just do that this season. But this is just mad little defense right there. Yeah, this is a bad matchup right here. And it was all night.
Friday, number 4, against the Kings.
He's excited right there.
LeBron steals the inbound pass. He's going to take it coast to coast. And then lob it up for AD, James.
Yeah, he was reading this baseline out of bounds pass the whole way. He just stepped in there, intercepted it, and then made the right decision on the other end over the top. Lakers get a lot of high percentage shots with those lobs.
We've seen this a lot this year, Fish. This time it's Avery Bradley up top to AD.
Yeah, nice little staggered action they run with Avery Bradley coming up. 2 guys go with him. Not a great pass, but AD with the great finish, left hand.
Perfect timing, Fish.
99-97 Lakers. Sacramento will get one more chance. Barnes going to the basket. Blocked by Davis. Lakers win it on the block by AD.
You don't see a lot of these. The game-winning block shot. But there it was, AD, such a great defender. Barnes didn't really help himself. Kind of tripped a little bit there. Lakers win a close one at home against Sacramento.
Number 1, look out below. LeBron, full head of steam, throwing it down on Bielitsa, in his face, staring him down and letting him know, I still got it, baby.
Gator, what did you think about that?
Stick it!
You take that. There you go.
Stick it!
Stick it! And that's what he did. That's a highlight for life right there.
I think he used the chest as a little leverage, and he got up even higher.
Sometimes you can climb up a player. If he's trying to take a charge, you get up on the shoulder. Just gives you a little inch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big game. That knee feeling good.
That knee feeling
He's going to the wall soon, isn't he?
I might duck again before it's all over.
I just like that he stared him down. I felt like he was just saying, that's what's up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All right, take your shot. It's brought to you by Southern California Toyota dealers in Big Game James. You're going to take a young man that you think is going to impact this game, and it's going to be KCP, and you liked what he did in the fourth quarter.
Well, he has to. I do. In the absence of Bradley, he's the next guy in line. And he's known for being a defensive guy, quick feet, staying in front of people, being lateral. Yeah, we want him to knock down the shot, but we want him to have consistent play night in and night out. He had a good one in the last game. Let's see if Mr. Pope can keep it going.
You think AD's going to have a big night?
Yes. I think AD's going to have a big night.
Plus 30? It's going over 30?
I think he should.
Yeah.
The Hawks have nobody on the roster that can cover AD, and maybe they'll double team him and try to get it out of his hands every possession. But this is one of those games where he can really impose his will and be dominant on both ends.
You, Perez, you're going with the guy who's now known as the protector.
The protector
Of teammates on social media, Dwight Howard.
The Minister of Defense. He's been a little quiet the last couple games. Hasn't had a double-double in a while. Don't love this matchup for the Hawks. Alex Len, their backup center, against Dwight Howard. I'll take Dwight any day in that one.
Got no shot, does he?
I just remembered. They were in L.A. last night, too.
Yes, they were. Let's get you to Billy Mack.
A bunch of young rookies.
Let's go.
Let's go from downtown Los Angeles. Great look at Staples Center this evening. Center of the basketball universe. Why not? It is Sunday night Lakers basketball on Spectrum Sportsnet, and it's being presented by the Mercedes-Benz dealers of Southern California. Tonight, the Lakers take on the Atlanta Hawks. And hello, everybody, and welcome. The homestand continues, and with Boston losing this afternoon to Sacramento, the Lakers are now tied for the best record in the NBA. Stu, they really had to work for the win over those Kings, Luke Walton's Kings, the other night, and it was accentuated by another highlight internet crashing dunk by LeBron James.
Yeah, well, working for wins in the NBA shouldn't be a news bulletin. That's what it's all about. And they put in the work, and because of that, they were able to get the victory by 2 against the Kings on Friday night. You talked about LeBron. Well, 29 and 11 and made all 7 of his free throws. And I mean 2 big free throws down the stretch. But what everybody was talking about was this play right there. I mean, that dunk had the people in the stands on their feet for quite some time. But he wasn't alone. Even though Anthony Davis didn't have a typical Anthony Davis performance numbers-wise, he was large. 17 points, 5 boards, but more importantly, 4 blocks, including the game saver at the end of the game against Harrison Barnes. That sealed the deal.
Stu, this is the end of a 5-game road trip for the Atlanta Hawks. They played last night. They didn't show up. I mean, literally didn't show up. And we're going to see if they can bounce back this evening. They still have one of the most electrifying players in the league, assisting, scoring.